What did God have to say concerning collateral under the law of Moses? This is the question we seek to answer today as we continue our verse-by-verse study of the book of Deuteronomy on walking through the Bible.
The glory of his cross.
If you have a Bible with you, turn to Deuteronomy 24. We're going to be reading from verses 5 to 13. If you don't have a Bible, don't worry. Just follow along with us on the screen. The version that we'll be reading from is the New King James Version. So Deuteronomy 24, beginning at verse 5. When a man has taken a new wife, he shall not go out to war or be charged with any business. He shall be free at home 1 year, and bring happiness to his wife, whom he has taken. No man shall take the lower or upper millstone in pledge, for he takes one's living in pledge. If a man is found kidnapping any of his brethren of the children of Israel, and mistreats him or sells him, then that kidnapper shall die, and you shall put away the evil from among you. Take heed in an outbreak of leprosy that you carefully observe and do all according to all that the priests, the Levites, shall teach you, just as I commanded them, so you shall be careful to do. Remember what the Lord your God did to Miriam on the way when you came out of Egypt. When you lend your brother anything, you shall not go into his house to get his pledge. You shall stand outside, and the man to whom you lend shall bring the pledge out to you. And if the man is poor, you shall not keep his pledge overnight. You shall in any case return the pledge to him again when the sun goes down, that he may sleep in his own garment and bless you. And it shall be righteousness to you before the Lord your God. In our last lesson, we looked at what the law of Moses had to say on divorce and remarriage. We saw that nowhere in that passage did God command divorce. He permitted it, yes, but not because he approved, but because of the hardness of man's heart. God regulated it by not allowing man to divorce his wife for any cause, but commanding that a certificate of divorce be produced to finalize the divorce, and by forbidding someone who had remarried after divorce to return to their former spouse. This law is not our law today. For what God expects of us, we need to read Matthew 19:9. Coming now to verse 5, we have various instructions about duties to others. When a man has taken a new wife, he is given an entire year exemption from going out to war or from being commanded to go away on business by another. We saw the war exemption back in Deuteronomy 20, verse 7. What was the reason for this exemption? That he may bring happiness to his wife. Why are there so many divorces today? Well, one reason is because the husband and wife never see each other and thus never develop a true close relationship with each other. They might decide to have children almost immediately after marriage. And, of course, with that, proper care needs to be attended to raising your children, often at the expense of the marriage relationship. That is why when I counsel people who are about to get married, I will tell them that if at all possible, they wait about a year before trying to have children so that they could grow close as a couple together before the responsibilities of parenthood come along. No, this advice isn't law, but it is sound, as God demonstrates with Israel here in Deuteronomy 24. A stronger marriage relationship will lead to fewer divorces, something that God desires. Verse 6 bars a person from taking as a pledge for a loan the upper or lower millstone. Not many of our listeners probably use millstones, but these stones were used to grind grain. Why weren't these allowed to be taken as a pledge? Because in so doing, you would be taking away the means for preparing food, thus imperiling the life of the person and their family. This was not to be done, as the value of life to God is great. For us today, this should give us pause when it comes to lending of money and taking of collateral. Sometimes when a larger sum of money is lent, something of value is given by the borrower in exchange for money, so as to ensure the repayment of the loan or the ability of the lender to recoup their money should the loan not be repaid. But as a principle, we should not be taking collateral that would deprive someone of the ability to put food on their table. But this isn't our law today. Yes, but God still values life and still wants us to care for the poor, so this principle is what would be part of fulfilling God's law in that regard. Verse 7 deals with kidnapping. Now, this verse does not condone kidnapping. It doesn't deal with kidnapping per se. It deals with someone kidnapping someone else and then either harming them or selling them off as a slave. Doing either of these things would result in the death penalty, as we saw in Exodus 21, verse 16. Was it right to kidnap someone and not harm them? No, for that wouldn't be loving their neighbor. The law, though, had to deal with those who took kidnapping farther and actually harmed someone else. Verses 8 and 9 dealt with the law of leprosy. For a deeper discussion of that, we invite you to go to our Leviticus series found on our YouTube channel and search for the lessons on chapters 13 and 14. The instructions given to Israel here was to listen to the priest's instructions, for they knew the law of God on the matter, because they were to know the law. Miriam being smitten with leprosy in Numbers 12:14 was to be an example that they were to remember when it came to following God's law on leprosy. Verses 10 to 13 then deals with pledges or collateral in general. The first thing we see is that the one seeking collateral wasn't to enter a person's house, but to wait outside. The purpose of this was to allow the owner of the house to choose and retrieve the pledge without the lender fixing his eyes on something that he would like better. If the person was poor and pledged his outer garment, his coat, then it was to be held during the day but returned at night, so that the poor man would have warmth during sleep. Again, we see God's mercy upon the poor, something that we need to emulate today. With that, our time is up for today. The Lord willing, we hope you'll join us for tomorrow's discussion of Deuteronomy chapter 24, verses 14 to 22, as we continue our walk through the Bible, one verse at a time.
Thank you for watching today's episode. We hope that you found it edifying and ask that you not only subscribe to our channel and podcast, but that you like and share this episode among your friends, so that the saving gospel of Jesus Christ can go out to the whole world.